Hello there, Seraphim17 once again. This is my Quantum Break hard difficulty walkthrough. This is Act 2 Part 1, it is the industrial area. This is where the game allows the player to have a little bit more combat, should they choose to. I have no idea if you can run past a lot of the encounters, but I get the feeling that you might be able to, as the game is scripted on some pretty interesting triggers, and I reckon you can bum rush some of these areas and just get to the cutscenes, which... that is a legitimate strategy if you're looking for the path of least resistance, but in this particular walkthrough, I'm going to be doing the combat as much as I can, because I really like it when it all comes together in a very time-oriented ballet of death. And I'm going to be talking a lot about my impressions, my expectations, and just a lot of the things that happen with the game. But the first thing I need to tell you here is the upgrade system. It features you finding a collectible, and when you find this correctable, because that's correct, isn't it, with the R's for everything. But once you find these particular objects in the environment, which, when you go into the time vision, if there's a circle on your screen with a circle inside of it, it tells you that you're close to one. It's kind of like a little bit of a proximity clue, which I think is a very nice touch. But once you find these, they give you a point. You can then put them into any of your time abilities. There is nothing you need to upgrade, because you start off really, really strong in this game, and you're strong for the duration. However, if you like a particular skill, I recommend that you go for it. But look at this, by the way. See how many bullets it takes to explode those barrels? Did it really need to take that many bullets? I assume, at this point, the barrels are so trope-ridden and so cliché that they've armoured them in hopes of making it less cliché. But I've never really minded. You know, there's a barrel, shoot it once, everybody dies. That's fantastic. I can now move on and find more barrels, please. Oh, additionally, barrels will kill you too, so be very careful as I try to blow this one up. And I think I actually hit it, because if you listen... oh no, maybe not. There it was. And it even made me flinch and hurt me a little bit. But the damage in this game is out of control, for the worst possible way. You take no damage in this game. There's instances in this walkthrough where I get snuck upon by a heavy with a shotgun, which is one of the most powerful guns in the game, and he doesn't kill me. He's 2 yards from me texting his wife as he loads the shell, and I survive. It's ridiculous, dude. And everything else, like, the damage needed to be doubled. And at times, you can die really fast, because one of the times where I did die, I got murdered by a sniper almost instantly, and it felt great. It felt like what these gunfights should have been. Like, to me, this should be a 2-bullet kill, this game. 2-bullet kill would have made this challenging. But as it stands, it's like a 20-bullet kill on you. And it's too little. Like, the regen on your player is so fast that you don't even need to use the shield to save yourself. I can't get my brain around it. I can't. You know, I appreciate that games are being more accessible and becoming easier so that more of an audience can flock to them and play them and enjoy them. But this is a harder difficulty, and Remedy have made some tough difficulties in the past. You know, Nightmare Mode on Alan Wake wasn't the most ridiculous, you know, thing in the world, but it was challenging. There was a few moments where you're like, wow, that was tricky. Max Payne's were absolutely brutal. I remember those games being nightmares on Dead on Arrival, because you could die so quick. You could die before you realised you were being shot. It was that fast. And this is nowhere near that level, and to some people that might be a rejoice, because I appreciate that not everybody plays games for the same reasons. Not everybody has the same importance of challenge that I do. I like to be challenged. I like to come up against obstacles and have to solve them. But with this game, the only way you can make it challenging, in my opinion, is to not use the time powers. And I mentioned earlier, I think, and if not, I'm going to reiterate here, I was going to do pistol only, no time powers for this walkthrough, because I think that will be a really fun run. The problem is, this game is all about the powers, and the shooting without it just, especially with the pistols, because the pistols are not the most impressive thing to watch, is probably going to be dull as fuck. And the last thing I want to do, guys, is make content that's boring, you know? I'm very critical of my own work, I'm highly critical of others. I don't want you to sit here and be like, wow, yeah, this is something, because it's not my intent. I want to help, I want to inform and educate if I can. Maybe you're an expert, maybe you don't need it, and if that's the case, hopefully there's something here that keeps you interested, be it the tangents, the observations, my opinions, or if it is the gameplay. You know, I strive to try and make this as full as I can. Like right now, I've left these menus in to show you what I'm upgrading. At this moment in time, I've barely upgraded anything, and I'm destroying the game. This is the second act of a 5-act game, and the acts aren't very long. You know, you've seen pretty much 1/3 of the game at this point, because that's how quick it goes by. And it compounds a lot of its length with cutscenes, which if you're doing a walkthrough such as this, I'm skipping them. You know, I'm not paying attention to them. As I watch this is a good example. So I'm going to run out of bullets here, and it auto swaps to shotgun, and it does that to that guy, and then I kill him. Didn't mean to do that. Didn't want the shotgun, it just put it on for me, and it ended up going really well. That can bite you. Because the game automatically swaps weapons, it can put on a gun you don't want to use, and you might waste ammunition. But in all honesty, don't think there's any need to be frugal with ammo. There's just no need for it. My advice, if you're curious, when it comes to guns, is find the ones you like. I mentioned earlier, I love the single-shot sniper on the left, this semi-automatic thing. Absolutely beautiful weapon, my favourite gun in the game. I like to have the triple-fire, you know, Raffica Beretta gun on the bottom for the pistol, and I like to have either the PDW, the personal defense weapon, submachine gun that we got earlier in this video, or maybe it's later, it might be later actually, which is a really accurate but kind of weak submachine gun that's got a decent clip. And if I don't have that, I like to keep the triple shot Vector that the strikers use, which are the enemies that use time powers like we can. Those are my preferences, and the reason I'm telling you this is this game has a fantastic system of taking what you used in the last mission to the next mission. So many games, for some reason, love to start you with a pistol. Like, look at Alan Wake. Alan Wake was a great example, and it's by Remedy, so it's topical. How many times did you get a really good flashlight on Alan Wake, and then on the next act it gave you a shit one again? That was the worst thing in that game, by far to me, because there's nothing worse than feeling empowered and using a badass flashlight, and then going back to some bloody Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy piece of shit. It really wound me up, and has nothing to do with spies, tailors, or tinkering. But here is a time puzzle of reconstructing events to bring back platforms, and there are two ways to solve almost all of these. They're a ubiquitous puzzle. You rebuild it, you freeze it with the blast, and then you do whatever needs to be done. Or the second one is you use the time rush ability that we're not going to get until we get to the Gala event, which is a little bit later on in the game. But do you see on my screen now, you see the circles? That tells me that I've missed an upgrade, because that's the hint for the upgrade. But this is not going to show you all the upgrades, guys. It's not going to show you collectibles, it's just going to be how to beat the game effectively. And unfortunately, it's not that tricky to do, so chances are you're probably here because you're a fan. And it breaks my heart, it truly does. Because I would like nothing but for this game to kick your ass, but it just kind of doesn't. Like, look at this. Did you think we were strong already? Well, guess what? Now we have a black hole, straight out of the darkness. You charge that button, you let it go, anybody in that proximity is instantly dead. Instant death. DSP 101. And if I had another one, I could have used it just then and killed those goons as they spawn, but I didn't have the foresight to do that, and I did it a bit late. But you see what I mean? And to the game's credit, none of the spawns are predictable enough where you can know where it is, rush the trigger, and then hit them all with a big black hole. There's about maybe 3 instances in the game where you can do this, because I was looking for it. As soon as they give me that move, I knew exactly what I wanted to do with it. I wanted to find the spawns, and I wanted to seal those emergence holes, just like it was Gears of War 1 all over again before anybody turned up. But to their credit, the spawns are interesting enough and varied enough that it's not so simple to do that. Obviously, in a week or two, once everybody's completely conquered the game and they know everything about it and the speedrunners are finding shit, there might be tons of opportunities to do it. But just in my 2 playthroughs, even though I'm only halfway through this walkthrough now, I haven't been able to break the game completely with it, but there are a few instances where it super comes in handy. But bust through the door and get introduced to the shotgunner. Shotgunners, really dangerous. Something to note too, this is where the auto-aim's fucking me, because I'm trying to shoot those barrels and it just wouldn't drag off his body. So after this, we're actually going to turn it off and see how we go without it. But this is a heavy. He's got a shotgun. The shotgun hurts a lot, but it doesn't hurt as much as you would think. Something to note, he can hit you in cover, because the cover in this game is not strictly cover. It is an adaptive, dynamic cover system. Whereas when Joyce moves towards something, he will automatically go into cover next to it, but it is not 100% cover. It's vulnerable still. And when you move, you become a bigger profile and easier to hit. So you need to bear that in mind. I would prefer a cover button, because I like the binary nature of you can be shot, you can't be shot. I don't like the grayness of, well, you might not get shot, but you could if it was awkward. Oh, that's that weapon, by the way, the PDW. Don't know its name, but that's what it looks like to me. It is incredibly accurate SMG. I love it. It's the advanced SMG in this game. That is one of my favourite SMGs to have, so feel free to use it. You see how accurate it is, though? The reticle never blooms bigger than what you saw then, and you can hold the trigger to shoot it. Really fun, but it is a little bit weak, as you're going to see. I don't think all of that hit him, though, so it wasn't the gun's fault. But this is the third-person shooter trick. If you don't know it, any third-person shooter that uses the same framework of third-person shooters, which is almost a universal feature in every single one, enables you to exploit shooting around corners by being very close to the geometry on the side that your shoulder favours. And in this game, you can swap shoulders by pushing the right analog in, but on the left-hand side, it's nowhere near as good as the right, because he doesn't hold the gun in as an advantageous position. But it enables you to shoot through walls, and it's something that's incredibly powerful on harder difficulties, should the difficulty necessitate it. This one really doesn't, but I use it anyway out of habit, because I'm usually quite a timid defensive player, because I'm used to dying in a bullet or two. You know, if you compare this to Uncharted Brutal, it's a different game, completely. Like, I'd be dead now. You know, there's no way I would have survived then. But this isn't Uncharted, and you need to acknowledge that this is a different breed of game. And I really like this firefight because it's quite big. Lots of different dudes. I'm testing the kind of time hole on him. I don't know if it hurts him that much, but I like to do it just for fun. The heavies work on a damage system, much like every game I've ever played, where... Well, that's a lie, technically. There are some games where, whenever you come up against a heavy, their faceplate takes a lot of damage, and then once you knock it off, one bullet will kill them in the head. But that is... Isn't that like Uncharted and a few other games that do that? In this game, it's 100% damage. You can shoot this enemy in the toe. If you do it enough, he'll die. There's no set way of killing him. You just have to stack damage. The best way to stack damage is to put time freeze on him, and then shoot him in the face with the rifle. If you can do that, you'll kill him very quick. At the moment, we don't have the rifle, so we can't display that. A little bit later on in the game, that particular enemy is going to have a pack on his back, which is the weak point, and 2 shotgun blasts to that is pretty much game over. But do you see that? That was me turning off the auto-aim. So from here on out, this is 100% my hands, and you're going to notice my accuracy drops a lot, because it's difficult to keep the gun on the target. But at the same time, I don't have any issues shooting barrels, and when I dash into people, I can aim for their face way more easily than I could before. That being said, there's going to be a couple of instances where I miss people from point blank range, because I was assuming the gun would default to the center mass, and it doesn't. So you're going to see me miss a shotgun shell coming up, which is quite hilarious. And you're going to see some pretty interesting aiming as I struggle to keep my aimer on target. But it's good to experiment with things like this, because on some games, auto-aim is the best way to go. On other games, it's not. You know, certain games play better without it. And that probably sounds really strange if you've played a game that had great auto-aim, but auto-aim is not universal. It's not something where every single instance of it is great. Some games don't do it well at all, and you need to be aware of that just to make sure it feels right, because there are times when you can play any kind of shooter and it doesn't feel natural. You feel off. Something is affecting your ability to aim, and you can feel it. Everybody feels it. You might just not notice it. You might think you're having a bad day, but it could literally be the auto-aim that's fighting your ability to aim. And the moment you take it off, it's apparent that, wow, it's different now, and you feel better. You really do. But this is where I was noticing that my gun wasn't on them when I started aiming, and it's that moment of, it really was doing things for me. So you can't be as quick to pop out of cover and shoot, because your aimer will be nowhere near them, which is a good thing, but I wasn't used to it. So a ton of dudes on me at the moment. I'm kind of in a bad spot. There's also a heavy that will slowly move towards you, but it's nothing too steep, as I stack some bullets on him. And you see then, I went to critical, I jumped out of cover, and I was perfectly fine. Another moment where I should have died, in my opinion. The good thing about this particular heavy is he has to reload his shotgun, and it's a very dramatic animation. Is that somebody behind me? Yes, that's someone behind. I should be dead. You know, how am I alive? Watch this. See that? Way easier to do. But when I try that later on with the shotgun, a little different. Ooh, this is important too. Did you notice how we froze in a stutter right there? You cannot damage anybody in those stutters like that unless they're wearing one of those chassis that enable them to move outside of time. Whenever they freeze and they're affected by it, they are invincible. So don't waste bullets like I did just then, trying to stack bullets. And apparently, this is a range that this pistol doesn't work at, so don't waste your bullets. There's me trying to stack some bullets on him across the corridor. There's me taking a big hit from the left, should be dead. Watch this. Oh no, there we go. There's the auto aim. Really needed it then, didn't get it. I think it's this next one. I know I do it with a shotgun, guys. You'll have to bear with me. But... oh, maybe not. Maybe I already did it. Suffice to say, if you play this entire game without having auto aim on, I imagine you can get really, really solid at shooting where you want to shoot, and you won't have any issue with it, because that's what I would have done. I generally do that for a lot of games, just to see if it's better. Some harder difficulties will in fact remove auto aim or aim assist, which is one of the things that Tomb Raider did, and Tomb Raider still managed to feel, you know, pretty good when it came to shooting, even with it off. And it's funny, when you go back to these games and you try it with the auto aim assist, it makes it play like a completely different game, because you have no idea just how much your hand's being guided. But that was the industrial area. Thank you for watching, and you take care now.